Welcome to Using a Thesaurus or Subject Term Index in Article Databases. In this tutorial, we're going to talk about what a thesaurus is. We're going to review how to access article databases through the Saybrook Library. We're going to talk about how to locate a thesaurus or subject term index in the databases. And then we're going to talk about how to use the thesaurus to increase the precision and relevancy of your search results. You're probably familiar with a dictionary type thesaurus, the kind that you use to look up words to find synonyms, or words that mean the same thing, or antonyms, words that mean the opposite. So in an article database, a thesaurus is an alphabetical listing of all of the subject terms in a single database, and it's used to classify and organize information for that database. It can be called either a thesaurus or sometimes called a subject term index. The thesaurus also shows relationships between terms such as synonyms or related terms, but also shows hierarchical relationships such as broader terms or narrower terms. Many subjects also have associated scope notes, and we'll take a look at what all of these look like in the actual databases. We have many article databases, but two major publishers of all of the databases. There's ProQuest and there's EBSCOhost. One thing that you should be aware of is in ProQuest databases, it's called a thesaurus, and in EBSCOhost, it is called a subject term index. So you'll want to be aware of that vocabulary difference between the two databases. Now, since I'm going to be demonstrating this through an EBSCOhost database called Academic Search Premier, I'll try and use the term subject term index instead of thesaurus, since that's what we're going to be looking at in just a minute. Let's quickly review how to access article databases at the Saybrook Library, and then we'll look at how to locate the thesaurus or subject term index. So we're going to start here at the library's homepage, and right here in the site navigation menu, we'll go to Articles, and the list of article databases shows up right here. Now we don't need to scroll down in this case because Academic Search Premier is the second one on the list. So I'm going to open up Academic Search Premier. So here we are at the Academic Search Premier Advanced Search page, and if you see up right here in this blue ribbon at the top, right here we have subject terms, and this is how we get to the thesaurus or subject term index in this particular database. Now I'm going to show you very quickly how to find it in ProQuest because it is kind of different. So I'm going to open up ProQuest Central, which I already had open in another tab, and as you can see in the basic search page, which is what we're on, the thesaurus does not appear. You have to go to the advanced search, and then right here, advanced search, you'll see thesaurus right there. So it's a little bit more hidden in the ProQuest databases. You do have to be on the advanced search screen. Let's go back to EBSCO. Once you've located the subject terms index, we click on that. So before we run the search in the search term index, we haven't really addressed the difference between a keyword search and a subject term search. With a keyword search, your keywords are going to be searched within the record of an article and often the abstract. So if you are doing a keyword search, let's say on the word substance abuse, it's just going to look through whether or not those terms appear anywhere within the record, the citation, or the abstract. Subject terms are index terms, right? So they're they're terms that an editor has looked at the article and said, this article is about whatever your search term is, as opposed to those keywords just happen to appearing within it. So that's the difference. And I think you can see how using a subject term will help you increase the precision of your search and the relevancy. So you should, by using subject terms, get fewer but more relevant results. At least that's the idea. So looking at this subject term index search page, I should point out that this box right up here is to search the contents of this particular database. So this is an article search up here. This box down here is to help you search for subject terms. And looks like it already knows what I'm going to do. Yes, because I tried it out. So we're going to hit browse and see what happens. All right, so these are our results down here. Just scroll down a bit. And right up here you see substance abuse. This tells me that this is in fact an indexed term. So the fact that it's got a little check mark here tells me that this is an official term for this particular database. Unfortunately, subject terms will vary across databases. So this might be used in, say, a ProQuest database, but it also might not. So you always have to look. So we're going to check this out by clicking on this term itself. Okay, so if I scroll down, we've got our term, substance abuse, and we have here the scope note. This can tell you a lot about how the database sees this particular term. So it says here are entered works on the abuse or misuse of substances in general, including legal and illegal drugs, as well as non-drug substances such as glue, nitrous oxide, aerosol, etc. And then it goes on to say, works on the abuse of drugs are entered under drug abuse. Works on abuse or misuse of therapeutic drugs are entered under medication abuse. Works limited to addiction to narcotics, such as opium, etc., are entered under drug addiction. Use only if narrower term does not apply. So that gives us a lot of information. And of course, what you do with that information depends entirely on what it is you're looking for. If you want a more general search term, then substance abuse is definitely going to be the way to go. If, however, that's not quite what you were looking for, you really were looking for, let's say, drug abuse, or perhaps you were looking for specifically narcotics, you would want to use the scope note to find the better search term, the term that the database understands to mean a certain thing. So underneath the scope note, you also have broader terms, narrower terms, and related terms. Now those might look familiar. The worksheet that you have, the library research worksheet that you either have done in the past or maybe are working on right now, is asking you to find those things, broader terms, narrower terms, and related terms. And this is a great way to do that. It helps you when you're at that exploratory part of your research, when you're not, maybe you haven't narrowed your subject down, or maybe you are looking for a particular angle. These terms can help you do that. More importantly, however, if you have already narrowed your subject down, using these specific terms are going to help you do a much more precise search within this database. So if I scroll down a bit more, you can see the related terms go on and on and on. Right at the bottom we have this section, used for, and these are not linked. You can see they're not highlighted. And what that tells you is if you're using one of these phrases or search terms, say substance addiction, chemical dependency, this tells you that chemical dependency, for instance, is not considered an indexed term. So while you might find that in a keyword search, you will not find it in a subject term search because the database doesn't recognize it as an official subject term. It's telling you if you are using chemical dependence as a search phrase, you really should be using our original term, substance abuse. So you can get a lot of information about how this particular database is thinking about your particular search concept. And that's really one of the most important things the thesaurus can do for you. I'm going to scroll back up here. The other thing you can do directly from the thesaurus is run subject term searches. So let's say, for instance, I decided I did want, in fact, to use substance abuse as a search term. I can click right there and then use this button here to say add, and that's going to add that up into the main search box here. I want to also tell you about this area over here. So you see it says explode, and some of the terms have a check mark, like you can see these here. Our original search phrase substance abuse does have that check mark over here, and then the broader terms also have it. What the explode box will do for you is it will take not only your original term, it'll take all of the narrower terms. So right here we have this list of narrower terms. It will take those terms and add them in if you use explode. I'm not going to do that because that would probably result in a lot of search results. So we're just going to say substance abuse add. And you can see here it's put it into the database lingo. This basically is saying that you want to do a phrase search as a subject term search for substance abuse. And then we can come down here and either you could add in additional terms. So let's say we wanted to add in substance abuse in pregnancy. I could click on that, go up to here, say I want to run an and search using that, both of those phrases. So we're going to have a very complicated search here. Basically, I'm telling the database, run a subject term search for these two phrases and combine them in an and, Boolean and search. If you don't remember what Boolean search operators are, I would point you to some of the other resources that are available to you to explain Boolean searches. Alright, another option I would have had is to come here and do a whole new search, and let's say I am looking at one particular drug, cannabis. I can browse and I can continue adding terms to this search right up here. So right here, again, even just this first page, it gives us a lot of information. So cannabis is in fact an official search term. Right here though, if we were looking for the therapeutic use of cannabis, it's telling us use the term medical marijuana. And then here, interesting, so if you're looking for cannabis abuse, you actually want to use this. So I'm going to click that. and then click it here and add it to my search. All right, so now we've made an even more specific search, and I'm going to go ahead and do this search here. Okay. Now it's interesting, it's telling me, and I didn't do this search ahead of time, so I didn't know what I'd get. My initial query didn't yield any results. My guess is I got a little too specific. And yet it kicked me over into the smart text searching, so I've still got, actually I would say I've got too many. I've got like 10,000, so I'm not in love with that. I am going to go back and I'm going to actually remove this last bit here and see if that helps me out a bit. All right. This is what I'd be more interested in. Instead of 10,000, because what it did there, when it said it didn't find anything on my search result that we just did, and that it kicked me into what's called smart text searching, it basically did a keyword search, and that's why I got 10,000 results. So I took off, I made it a little less specific by taking off that last subject term, which was marijuana abuse, right? So I'm sticking with that interim search we did, a subject term search on substance abuse and a subject search on substance abuse in pregnancy. And those two combined got me 68 articles, which is manageable. So what we have here is a very precise and highly relevant set of search terms on those specific terms, instead of a keyword search which got me 10,000 things that I could never possibly look through. So that is a good illustration of the use of the thesaurus and why you might want to consider using it. Definitely use it to do that worksheet. Part of the worksheet is to help you get familiar with the thesaurus and also to understand what use it is to you. If you have any questions about using a thesaurus or a subject term index in any of the databases, please ask your instructor or go to the Saybrook Library and ask one of the Saybrook librarians. Thanks so much.